The two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. A very pleasant and calm morning to one and all present over here. My name is Siddharth and I'll be your host for today's event. We are very happy and excited to be back with a new season of Vimrishyotsava 2.0, an erudite festival of discussion where we interact, learn, and engage ourselves to enhance our knowledge from the greater experience of our prominent speakers, which is organized by Anuvrat, the Departmental Club of Electronics and Communication Engineering, NIT Sikkim. Here at Anuvrat, we progress by our never ending innovations and success. We had a successful season 1 comprising 6 episodes. And on demand, we are back with a new season with new ideas, with new speakers, and a much bigger audience. So, with great enthusiasm, I welcome you all to the first episode of our Alumni Talk series, Season 2. I am extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to welcome an eminent personality present among us in the form of today's alumni speaker, Miss Ruchika Prasad. Ma'am's educational journey started from Delhi Public School, Indonesia. She then completed her graduation from National Institute of Technology, Sikkim, in the year 2016 from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. Ma'am is currently working as an IoT and AI technical specialist at Intel Corporation since August 2021. She had also been a part of Larsen and Toubro, working as the pre-sales solution architect for 5 years and 2 months. And apart from that, she had been a tutor in Czech Incorporation. Her experience includes a summer internship at IIT Guwahati on the topic of 5G communication technology. Well, not only she is promising with her academic achievements, her extracurricular is also precisely prominent in creating an impact of inspiration. Ma'am was one of the technical coordinator for technical exhibition cell for the first Abhiyantran 2014 and event organizer for Indian National Academy of Engineering, making her experienced in management based works as well. Apart from that, she had been a guest speaker in Hindustan Educational Institutions and Satyabhama University, and she was also the hackathon judge for Sachak 2018 for Rajalakshmi Institute of Technology, and she has been a volunteer for National Service Scheme. She has also done 4 projects in multiple domains and has 2 publications through IEEE and 1 publication through International Journal of Research and Engineering. Today, she will be sharing her outlook on the topic of artificial intelligence landscape in Indian market. So, without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Miss Ruchika Prasad and let's hear her share her knowledge and experience with us. Ma'am, the stage is yours now.
Hey, thank you so much, Siddharth, for that introduction. And yeah, good afternoon, good morning. Sorry, good morning, everyone. I would be talking about a little bit on data center, little bit on artificial intelligence, and a little bit on IoT as well. I'll just present my screen. Uh, okay, I'm trying to present my screen. It's not clicking. Why is that so?
Dee, can you share the document to me? I can
Yeah,
present.
sure. I'll share that with you. One second. In the same anuradec.com.
Yes, you can share either on the WhatsApp as well. Either way will work.
I'll share on this anuradec at NIT Sikkim. Okay, I think I can share now. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Z, it's visible.
Yeah, so Siddharth has already given my introduction, so I'll just skip this part. By the way, yeah, so I have completed like yeah, so I think you have already given all of it. Working as solution architect, yeah. So I'll just skip this part. Yeah. So hello everyone. Uh, as you can see, the technologies that we have today is changing the lives, and it's just not being used in smart cities or transportation. It's used everywhere across different industry. So let's say if you have if you have something on the application part like video analytics or the imaging part or AI that we say nowadays, it's being implemented everywhere, be it like healthcare, manufacturing, banking, retail, smart cities, transportation, and then the technologies that we see predominantly is changing the landscape. We are using a lot of advanced technologies, and even in the ministerial bill and in the annual budget there is a scope for this improvement and addition of a lot of data centers in India, right? So in the government space as well, a lot of projects are coming which ask for implementation of different use case that is like checking the ANPR from the vehicle, or uh, categorizing the vehicle, is it a bus or is it a car. Let's say in healthcare, if you have to do some diagnosis, before the process was pretty slower, you would take the CT scan and the doctor would come, then he would diagnose it. But now with the aid of technology, you can diagnose it sitting remotely, and then at a click or in a fraction of minutes it can give you automated reports. Similarly, for the manufacturing industry, before we would be taking traditional way of identifying defects, or if there are any problems, or if the system is working properly or not. But now with the aid of technology, you can train a machine to do certain sort of jobs which were not possible before. So that's why we say like there's a paradigm shift, and after this COVID has come into picture, like many industries are adopting the technology transformation, and they are moving towards this digitization in their verticals. So yes, when we say technology, there are three part of it. One would be the hardware layer, and one would be the software layer, and third would be the connectivity, right? And with the combination of all these three, you can form a backbone, or you can form something like a transformational technology which can help you to change or get better results from whatever operations that you're having. So For the hardware piece, we can have the data centers or this cloud computing, and I'm sure you guys must have studied about it as well. For the network piece, we have 5G coming up, we have the Zigbee protocols, the Bluetooth, or we have the normal cellular connectivity. And on top of that, if you connect devices together, which is called as IoT, Internet of Things, you can connect multiple sensors all together, and you can get different results. I mean, you can connect sensors and then send it for processing and get various insights out of it. And on top of that, if you put the application layer, which could be artificial intelligence or machine learning, you can get I mean, you can automate the things there, and then you can get better insights. So this was about the IoT piece. IoT is basically connecting multiple edge devices all together through some connectivity and getting better insights out of it. Then for the physical layer, you have data center or cloud. So data center, if you see what is a data center, it's like, a large environment or a large premise where you are putting a lot of servers, you're putting a lot of storage and networking. Then you are virtualizing the servers, and then you're getting the insights. Sorry, you're virtualizing the server and running your application as a VM, and you are efficiently using that footprint or the premise that you have. So data centers can be built uh, on premise locally in somebody's campus, or you, if you want, you can run your.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
excuse me for the interruption. Actually, I think your screen is stuck.
it
Uh,
is stuck. Which screen I'm
uh,
showing now?
about me.
Oh, sorry. Should have told me before. I mean, okay, sorry. Yeah, so this was just about me. Uh, this was about the technology that I was talking. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, great then. So this was the technology I was talking about, like how technology is transforming in different sectors across industries, be it smart cities, transportation, manufacturing, banking, retail. And then we have this IoT devices, or IoT as a technology that we say, where we connect a lot of sensors all together, and we get insights from it. And then I was talking about the data center. So data center can be built on premise, on a customer's, or on a individual location. Or if you want to host your applications, you can host your applications on cloud as well. So there is lot of advancements in cloud technology, and then with 5G coming into picture, it could happen that all the processing we are doing at the data center level would be moving to cloud, because the connectivity will be so fast. You don't have to bear that latency in mind, which decreases your time to respond, right? So you can shift everywhere everything to cloud in coming future, and that's why cloud is a very important term, or cloud computing is a very important term for coming future. And if you see this cloud computing, there are three kind of applications, or the subscription that you can categorize these as. So one is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. IaaS is also called as infrastructure as a service, and in this, the hardware part is managed by the CSPs, the cloud service providers like Amazon, Google, Azure, and the other part, which starts from the OS till the application, is managed by the user. And this is like a traditional hardware infrastructure where you don't have to think about your servers or what sort of networking device you have to position. You just have to ask your CSP that you want this much of instances for running your application, and the customization on those instances will be done by you. So that's how the IS works. Then we have something called PaaS. So in PaaS, the CSP manages from the hardware part till this runtime or middleware part, and only the application and data is managed by customer. So in this, the third party, the CSP, they provide you with all this hassle free technology, and you just have to look and run your application on top of it. And some what is it called, like the services that it would include is web integration service, application testing and deployment service, um, design and deployment service. So example of PaaS could be like Beanstalk or the Google App Engine. These are the examples of PaaS. And the third one is SaaS, where the entire offering is provided by the CSP. User simply has to log in, and the application runs completely on the infrastructure that's provided. So typically, a SaaS applications are completely accessible. Okay, sorry. Yeah, SaaS applications are completely accessible via this internet and a web browser. So some examples could be like Salesforce or Dropbox or Google Workspace. Uh, Here you don't have to manage everything. Everything is managed by the CSP. And the SLA is everything. SLA as in the service level agreement, which is the uptime of the infrastructure. Everything is managed by the CSPs or the highest hyperscalers. So any questions till now from the team?
Didi,
These
ma'am, we can have a question and answer session at the end after your
At the end.
presentation
Okay,
gets over.
okay, done. Okay. So now you have this hardware, or the hardware like server storage in a data center that is done. You are connecting the devices, that is done. You are getting data from the sensors, be it cameras, be it the IoT devices. But then once you get the data, what do you do with it? How do you get the insights out of it, right? So either could be using the normal analytical, calling out the analytical function and getting some data, getting some insights out of it, or you can apply some AI ML on top of that, and you can get some better insights, or you can train your system. So before understanding what is ML and deep learning, let's understand AI in detail, right? So AI is a computer program that performs something smart, and it can be anything from a complex statistical model, or if it can be a normal, if then statement. And the if then statements are simple rules that are programmed by humans, right? And yeah, so if then statements are by humans, and AI intelligence can be like cross domain and can learn from wide range of experience. So to a common, or in a layman language, AI can be referred as an automated assistant to any system. Like for example, we have something called Siri or Alexa, or computer based chess, where a person can, opponent can come and play chess. So that chess, computer based chess, or self driving cars. But generally, AI comprises of algorithms, advanced algorithms that follow a mathematical function, which is able to handle higher process similar to humans. Examples could be visual perception like computer vision applications or speech recognition, decision making, or translation between the languages. So this all will be coming under the category of AI. And now if we take a deep dive into machine learning and deep learning, so machine learning is a subset of AI. This means that all the machines, yeah, this means that all the machine learning is considered to be considered as an artificial intelligence. However, not all AI counts as a machine learning. And popular AI tools like expert system, the recommendation system, or the knowledge graphs, that don't fall under machine learning. So machine learning has an ability to scale itself when exposed to more volume of data, unlike the expert systems, right? So one of the important aspects of machine learning is that it doesn't require any kind of human intervention to make a change when required, and this makes it highly efficient. So in nutshell, a machine learning can be described as a process of developing a computer system on how to make highly accurate and reliable predictions when with the furnished data. And these predictions could be accurately divided into recognizing speech or spotting a human or a traffic signs in front of a self-driving cars. And typically in a machine learning there are three types: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. But before getting into all that, we should understand like what kind of jargons are typically used in this machine learning kind of setup. So one is called this labeling the data. So where you where you have a set of data and you categorize it, whether it's a cat or a dog, and you put that into a folder. Then something is called classification. So whether that separating, you have to separate a groups or having a definite value, like it's a cat or a dog, so you're just classifying it. And then clustering is something keyword which is used in machine learning, where a group related to something is categorized, like human, like example could be like, human doing some task, so that you can be clustering it all together. Then inference is like once you have done the training, you can refer to the process of making predictions by applying the trained model to the unlabeled data. Then you have something called neural network, you have something called layers, then neurons, back propagation, convolution algorithms. So these are the sort of keywords that you should keep in your mind for this machine learning, and you should know about it. Then if you come to supervised learning, yeah, so if you come to the supervised learning, so it's like task driven supervised learning. You need to guide a machine to perform a certain task. The data set, it acts as a teacher here, and the main role of the data set is to train the machine. Once the machine gets trained properly, it can start making predictions or decision whenever new data comes in. So supervised machine learning searches for patterns within your valued labels, which is assigned to a data sheet. So for example, multiple images of cats, dogs, oranges, and apple, etc. And they are labeled into the machine for training, and the machine just identify the same. So just like a human child, right? You show a cat to them and you tell them it's a cat. So once once a cat comes by to that child, he can identify, okay, this is a cat. But if something else comes by, he will not be able to identify that. So this is called the supervised learning, and it majorly helps. Yeah, so majorly the algorithms that work here are like linear regression or a KNN, knife base, etc. And second is called this unsupervised learning. So this is also data driven. The model learns through the observations and identifies the structure of the data. Once the model is equipped with the data set, it automatically identifies the patterns and relationship in the data set by creating a cluster in it, which requires to describe it into structure and make a complex data look simple and highly organized for analysis. So, for example, the images or the inputs that are given, they are grouped together in unsupervised learning, and the insights on the inputs can be like driven for a more world data, like real world problems. So unsupervised learning, it used the clustering problems, or it can be used for anomaly detection. So where there's a need to find a relationship between the given data. So this kind of learning is very used in this industrial problems where, let's say, you have to identify a crack in a car part, right? So a car part, you have to train the model with multiple cracks, but it doesn't mean that a similar crack would be developing the in the inference time or the real world time, right? So but still the machine should be able to categorize it as a crack there. So this kind of learning is used there in unsupervised learning to identify the crack which the computer has not seen before. Then we have something called reinforcement learning. This one reacts to the environment. So they interact to the environment and find out what the best outcome could be. So the machine learns from the past experience and tries to capture the best possible knowledge to make accurate decisions based on the feedback that is received. So this kind of machine learning typically it's like the hit and trial kind of method, and the algorithm changes its strategy and learns automatically. And the agent will be either rewarded or penalized for their prediction. So this kind of model trains itself with rewards and the gains. So in this kind of ML technique is typically used when you're playing a chessboard, or if you are trying to build a self-driving car. So this was about the deep learning, this ML. And then there is something called deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning. In a broader sense, it is a technique for realizing machine learning. So deep learning is the evolution of machine learning, and in this case, the system has to measure the system has a measurable capacity to learn irrespective of the volume of data they acquire. But the deep learning system can scale up their performance with access to more volume of data. So in simpler terms, deep learning can become better when you give them more data. And after the machine requires certain experience through deep learning, they can be put into work for specific tasks like identifying the defects in machines, or detecting any diseases, or again in self-driving cars as well. So deep learning algorithms are sparked by information processing patterns observed by human brain. So just like human brains are used to identify patterns and classify various type of information, deep learning algorithm can be taught to perform certain kind of task, and this is accomplished by algorithms called artificial neural network. So the design of ANN is urged by the same biological neural network of a human brain. The human brains, they have something called neurons and the connections, right? So okay, yeah, so neurons and the connections, right? So this also, this model or this machine, here also you apply the similar technique where each model is designed to have the specific use case depending on the type of data, whether it's supervised or unsupervised, and the data that you have and what you want to achieve. You can choose one of the DL methods, the deep learning methods, be it convolutional neural network or recurrent neural network, or any adver- generative adversarial network, etc. So in this, it's I have not put in the presentation, but yeah, you can imagine like there are like lot of there is will be one input parameter, then there would be a lot of neurons which will have a connection, and there would be the output parameter. So in this output parameter, you would be like feeding first the input. The input, if it is matching with the output, the weights or the biases would be getting added, and then with the output parameter, if there is something like the output parameter is wrong or it's not matching, there would be another connection made, and the weights would be assigned to it for the wrong connection as well. So this way you can create lot of applications or lot of industrial like a lot of industrial outputs, like speech to text recognition is done using ml. Or if you want to have something on let's say identifying a person carrying gun and all, so this can be used, the dl can be used to sorry, ml and dl can be used to create such kind of applications. So so for the industrial that you see, machine learning and deep learning can be broadly categorized or being used by many sectors. So for healthcare, let's say if you want to do a cancer detection or a brain mri imaging or a gene printing, you can use such kind of algorithms there. Now let's say for finance or banking, you have stock market prediction, or you want to detect whether we should be giving loan to a certain person or not. So over there also you use the ai or ml algorithm. Then next you have for the documents, like screening the document and the OCR, the object character, the optical character recognition, or what is the text in the document, whether the signature is matching or not. So that can be also done from the AI ML part. Sorry, yeah. Then we have something called recommendation systems in which Netflix uses, right? Which movies to be shown based on your interest, or the photo tagging, automatically identifying the face of the person, and they'll be giving you suggestions for photo tagging. Then you have a lot of use cases in the computer vision based applications, like vehicle number plate identification, which is predominantly used by the highway customers, or this NHAI, or the transportation, or the smart cities customers. Then we have something called facial recognition, matching the database, the faces from the database, used very widely by this police force. And then you have something for this self, like Amazon Go, you have this auto self checkout, right, where you pick just the vegetables and fruits from the shelf and you can walk away, and the bills would be sent directly to your phone. So how is all that done? That's using AI and ML. Then for retail as well, you have a lot of trial rooms. They are virtual. You can just stand, and it's done outside of India. You can stand and click on the type of dresses, and you can, like, they will be putting the dress on you. So that kind of technology they have built, or maybe like chatbots with the camera, or some smart avatar, digital avatar. Then in cybersecurity also, like SIM application would be using various of ML algorithms to detecting various cyber attacks like fraud, phishing, malware, etc. So why is AI important, right? AI, it automates the repetitive learning and discovery through the data. Then it adds intelligence to your existing products. It adapts through progressive learning algorithms to let data do programming, and it analyzes more and deeper data using neural networks that have many hidden layers. Then it achieves incredible accuracy through deep neural networks, which was previously impossible. And then we get most out of the data. The insights that we get, it's like very useful to any organization. So Yeah, data is growing at a very exponential pace, and with the onset of this lot of social networking boom and people uploading videos, lot of unstructured data is there. People have, like, government have started putting up cameras everywhere across street and across different organizations. So yeah, a lot of unstructured data is coming into place. And with so much of volume of data, the companies of all sizes and industries are set to leverage this AI or deep learning technology in near future. And most of the industries, they have already started deploying lot of use cases. So let's say for this oil and gas industry, right, like IOCL, BPCL or HPCL, they have started implementing camera there, and with camera they are tracking what kind of vehicle is coming, what is the number plate, and with that number plate they are sending it to data center for processing, and the customer or the user gets an SMS that your petrol of this much liter has been filled. So there is no manual intervention or any human required to do such kind of activity. So deep learning architectures, they offer a lot of benefits and over the traditional AI methods, and overall this has a great potential. And we have just started, like the industry has just started. Maybe coming down 5 or 10 years, you would see more application of AI coming into the world. And like as of now, only if you see, like Tesla is building this autonomous cars, or there is Mahindra has also started building cars where if there is a red light, the car would stop immediately, and then it will be checking the number of people standing in front of, like from the videos that will be getting, number of people that are standing in front of the car. Banking sector, the eKYC have started. So kind of like Corona has kind of accelerated the use of technology. So in banking, the number of branches are reducing, and they have moved to, like previously, if you had to open a bank account, you had to go physically in a bank and open it. But now everything can be done virtually, and what is helping them, it's this same AI technologies that they are able to detect the fraud, they are able to serve the customer, and then they are able to do the eKYC, the matching, the signature matching, etc. So the capacities are huge, and that's why we are witnessing a lot of industries are doing a lot of investment and progression in DL and ML. And for a digitally transformed future, the deep learning, the DL and ML is going to play a significant role in years to come. So yeah, that was all from my side, and I will take up some questions from you all so that you understand in a better way. Yeah. So I'll close this tab. Maybe I'm open up for questions now from your side.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such a wonderful presentation. I think we have learned many things from it. So we can now start up with the question and answer round. So anyone from the audience who is having any question which is related to the presentation given by ma'am, or any other question, you may turn your mic and ask question to ma'am, or you can also drop your question in the chat box.
Miss Prasad, I have a question.
Yes,
So you spoke about two, three different topics like IoT and this AI ML and data center IAS or etc. So how this AI or ML or even deep learning can be combined with IoT? So is there any possibility of such a merger between the two topics?
yes.
Because
So
IoT, as far as I know, it is a very resource constrained device. So, like how AI ML or these technologies can be applied to in an IoT scenario.
yes, right. So IoT, it's a very broad keyword, right? IoT, if you say, stands for Internet of Things, and anything that you are connecting together, be it a computing device or a mechanical device. Let's say you're putting small sensors in lot of industrial field, which collects the performance or which collects the energy consumed by those machines, for example, right? So if there are large set of factories where you're connecting thousands of sensors, the basic data logging sensor which gets the structured data together, you would need to analyze it, right? Once you get the data, I mean, with the data, what do? You can't be doing just sitting on it and drawing some graphs out of it, right? You need to maybe predict what could be the future outcome, or maybe you want to understand what has caused a failure. So there AI or ML comes into picture. Similarly, for instances where you're connecting cameras, right? So you connect multiple cameras to internet, and those cameras will get you the, like CCTV cameras will get you a lot of video footages. Now with that video footages, what do? I mean, how do you get an insights out of it? How do you derive whether there is a crowd in a city, or how do you derive whether somebody is carrying a knife with them? So for such kind of scenarios, you would be using AI, ML, DL to generate insights. So IoT is like an ecosystem of smart devices connected all together, but the data that you get from that IoT devices, you have to send it somewhere to do the processing, plus you have to get insights, smart insights, so that you can take actions before time. And that's where the AI or ML will come into picture.
Yes, great. Also, I have another question. I just now read your paper in the IEEE conference. So there you have presented a case study of Nagpur using
Yes,
this motion sensors to optimize the street lighting condition.
right.
So, do you think AI or ML can further improvise over that scenario? Like, for example, if there is a small animal or like dog or cat walking on the street, then in that cases the light won't get brighten or something like that.
Okay.
Because the flowchart is quite straightforward. It detects any motion and then it
Mhm.
switches on for 30 seconds and then it goes off.
Right,
So,
right.
do you think AI has applications over there as well?
So for smart lighting, where see, even the thing is, if you are implementing AI, the kind of cost that you're putting to build that system, you should get a proper return on the investment as well. For applications like smart lighting, let's say a cat or dog is passing by, if you want to implement such kind of deep analytics, or you want to add that kind of intelligence, you would have to place a camera would be giving you a lot of like continuous recording. With that recording, you would be sending and storing it somewhere, storing for your TB of data or GB of data, then deriving insights. So the if you see that comparison between the amount of investment you are doing for a smart lighting just to identify or save some amount of units, or save some amount of money when the light is on when a cat or dog is passing, it doesn't make sense to me. Yes, you can do such kind of intelligence on smart lighting, but it doesn't make sense to anybody to add on this intelligence, because it doesn't make sense, right? So definitely you can have this cat or dog kind of intelligence, you can replace it with some human, whether the human is fallen down on street, or in an environment where a lot of this construction workers are working, who is where and who is not responding for certain amount of time, or if they're wearing a helmet or not. So that kind of intelligence helps the customer or helps any industry, but adding to a smart lighting, it would not help, but you can do it, provided why you want to do it. So you can
So we
add you
have to
can
always
add
So we have to always consider the computation cost and everything
Yes, yes.
behind any AI
Yes.
application.
So if you go and talk about deploying or creating some new projects, if you want to, let's say you all are in engineering, right? So you want to create some new project, but the kind of use case that you would be building on, you should see whether there's a real world feasibility of it or not. Building intelligence on a smart lighting doesn't make sense. It doesn't really save much of a cost. If you have read the paper, it's like 53% savings, or like somewhere around 50% savings over traditional lighting. Adding intelligence, identifying whether a human is walking so that the light should be on, and if a animal is walking, the light should not be on. There would be maybe like 10% saving or 5% saving. Doesn't make sense to add such kind of intelligence to smart lighting, but yes, you should add such kind of intelligence in a bigger premise which really needs it. Hope that answers.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks.
I request other participants to please feel free to ask questions. You can use the chat box or you can turn on your mic.
Good morning,
Hi,
ma'am.
good morning.
Ma'am, I'm Anirudh Chaturvedi from first year.
Yes, hi Anirudh.
Okay, ma'am. While mentioning about machine learning algorithms, we talked about supervised learning and unsupervised learning and about reinforcement learning. So my question is that, like, was it that initially there were supervised learning algorithms and then unsupervised learning algorithms were developed, and later reinforcement algorithms were developed?
uh, no, it was not like that. So when you had to teach a computer about something, right? So they've categorized into different kind of learnings. So it was not like once we started developing machines, we first like we knew about the concept, the scientist or the developer knew about the concept that there could be different kind of learning that could get into an AI or a machine to give insights. And this concept has been derived by how humans learn. We also, like when we are born and we start to grow up, right? If we are like taught, okay, this is this and this is that, and then we can classify in future. But if something new comes up, that comes up like that kind of learning or that kind of understanding comes up as we age, right? So even for this ML algorithms, they've had already defined the three kind of learnings, the basic three kind of learnings, and they knew like which one to be categorized when. And to build a smaller machine or to build a very simple machine, you can go with the supervised learning. If you want to build a machine which can detect an output which it has not been shown, so we went with unsupervised learning, and then there was this reinforcement learning which did another set of tasks. So it was categorized since the beginning. It was not like scientists first developed this, then they thought, okay, no, this should have some added functionality, so we should go with this. No, it was not like that. It was mimicking the human brain functionality from the beginning.
Thank you, ma'am. There was one more question from my side. While when we talked about labeling the data, its classification and clustering and all, in clustering you mentioned it is done through train models. So could you please explain a bit about it?
No, clustering. See, clustering is like clustering is like a task which is basically done in unsupervised learning. So you have a lot of when you are training a machine, right? You would have a lot of data set, and in unsupervised learning, the input data would be labeled without the responses. So generally, it is used to find meaningful structure. Okay, I'll just like if I could show you one graph, or maybe I can talk about this. So it's like you have a lot of images, right? And then you divide those images or the data point into certain groups, and those groups or those data points would be similar to each other, so you form a cluster, and there would be like one line drawn towards it, like one line. So
Ma'am,
if you
excuse me,
sorry,
you got
hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello,
yes,
Yes, ma'am,
ma'am.
you are
Now you're
audible.
audible.
I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
now
Yes,
audible.
ma'am.
Okay. So what happens in clustering, right? There would be certain set of unlabeled data, and while training your model, they would be categorizing or clustering those set of datas which are kind of like matching to each other into one sort of set, and there would be one like an axis or a line drawn to it. So this is like part of one cluster, this is like part of another cluster. And when you are after training, when you are doing that inferencing where you have to get the result, an image is shown, and if it matches or there's a probability towards one cluster, it would give a result of that cluster, I mean wherever the probability is more. So it's typically you are grouping the unlabeled set of data into a certain cluster based on various algorithms. And once that is done, you can do that once that unsupervised learning is done using the clustering algorithm, you can get the results or inferencing which is matching to the closest cluster. That's how it would work. So it's like basically grouping it all together, the data.
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, we have a question from Mohi Joshi in the chat box that are there any security threats that come with the use of IoT?
Oh yes, definitely. A lot of security threats would be coming with the use of IoT, and that's the reason when you are doing a deployment in any of the organization with IoT, you have to take care of lot of security features as well. You have to configure the firewall, the IPS, maybe have this web application filtering. So since anything that you connect to the external world, that is the world, this internet or the www, you are bound to get security threats, and you need to keep the measures to avoid such security issues. So you have to keep security also in place, because anything connected to internet is liable or has a potential for like malwares or malicious codes or any alteration to the data or your data being stolen. So yes, that is there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a
Hello.
question.
Good
Like
morning, ma'am.
there is okay, connect. Please go on.
Ma'am, do we need to be a genius or mastermind to start learning AI?
Definitely no. AI is like, see, which year you are in? Hello, Kanak?
First year, ma'am.
First year.
First year, right? Yeah, so you do get such kind of ideas in your mind that okay, this is something very complex. It's not very complex. It's pretty like you just have to understand how AI works, how the algorithm of AI is, and then you can start actually building your own AI models with maybe Python or C++. And it's not very, very highly intensive. Yes, if you want to build something like Alexa and all, maybe you need to study more. But if you are in college, if you want to build some science projects or if you want to build normal computer vision projects, it's very easy to understand and build your models and do this inferencing. It's just that you need to be persistent. It's not very tech savvy or high tech that you would skip on what some of the terminologies or keywords. So it's possible, very much doable, and it's not like you have to be very sharp to grasp this very normal concepts of AI.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I was having a question. Like we have machine learning and deep learning. So can we expect of some other methodology that can come into play in the next 5 or 6 years? And what advantage it can have over machine learning and deep learning?
This question, see, like I really don't know how to answer this, but what I feel is next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be like what it is. Maybe something can come up in future, which I'm not really sure. Maybe something on ethical AI that they talk about, or ethical deep learning, because they are building robots and all. How ethical it is, what type of learning that they're doing. there could be something in future, but for coming 5 years, I mean, there is a lot of potential in DL, ML, and we have just started. The industry has just started on this. I mean, you can build probably something like a human robot which talks and behaves like a human, right? And that is very well possible with deep learning. So, a new technology or a keyword coming in future could be. I'm not really sure, so I would not comment on that. But yes, it can come up. But again, we are yet to exploit or explore the 100% potential of DL. And once that is done, something new would come up. Maybe if you have heard that recent news where in Google or in Facebook, I'm not really sure. I forgot. They were trying to build this AI robot, and it started getting emotions. Like typically in DL model which we build or in the lab, they don't have emotions, but they started getting an emotion. So they immediately shut it off. You can Google about this. They shut it off, and then it could be in future they would have something on the emotional intelligence of emotional quotient of AI. Could be. I'm just thinking. So not very sure, so I would not be the right person to comment on this what is coming in future, but we have to explore the full potential of AI MLDL. That is yet to happen.
Thank you, ma'am. We have some questions from Harishankar Kumar that how can IoT contribute in medical field?
Okay, so if you see in hospitals, right, you can put some sensors. Like you get all this data, right? You put all those small devices on the patients, and then you get the ECG graphs from those devices, or there are some other graphs also generated, right? So what if all those data you connect to an internal network, or you connect to internet, whatever is more secure, right? So you connect to that, and then you get some good insights, or you can generate an alarm that if the parameter goes beyond this certain point, you should raise an alarm and notify the nurses. So in such kind of scenarios, the action that the nurse would take would be much faster, and you could save lives. So this could be one of the use case that you can build in a medical field, that you take care of the patient care using IoT sensors. Or you can also have something like in a building, like how many patients are there, if the beds are vacant or not. Again, you can put a camera and see, okay, which bed are vacant, where to put the patient. That could be one of the use case. Again, with IoT, maybe like mm, the reports that you get, right? So telehealth could be one of the use case of IoT, where people are sitting at one corner of some world, and then they are getting consultations to the doctor sitting in another corner. So that is done very well by the use of IoT. You have this cameras, and you do the VC, and they have these devices which gets all the information, like the blood glucose level or the blood pressure level, and that is being sent to the doctor who's sitting at the other end. So this is happening as well, the telehealth part. So these are few of the use cases that could be used in medical field using IoT.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, we have another question that is embedded system and IoT interrelated to each other?
Yes, embedded and IoT, they are very much related. So when you are building a small sensor which collects data, you would be having a microcontroller into it, and that microcontroller would also have little bit of storage to store and all that. So it's like with embedded systems only, you build an IoT sensor, or you build a edge processing device, the motherboard of the edge processing device, right? If you have a SoC on top of a motherboard, and you have all the connections, it's all embedded computing or embedded processing. So it's like a father, like IoT is a father of the embedded systems.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question from Kaushik Roy, that how AI and IoT can help in defense sector of a nation.
Okay, so with the use of AI, I will take an example of Indian Army, let's say, right? There was this attacks that happened, I guess, back in 2017 or 18, somewhere, that Pulwama attack, right? So that was the Air Force base campus. Had the Air Force people implemented cameras over there, the perimeter fencing they could have done, and then if they had built a AI model which detects suspicious activities like people roaming with guns, which are not typically allowed in the premise, right? That would have raised an alarm to the higher level authorities, and then people might have been saved from that attack, right? So if somebody is trying to cut a fencing, I mean, every premise would have a physical fencing, right? If somebody is trying to cut a fencing, you can deploy some IoT sensors, and with the vibrations or with the kind of sound that it is creating, it's like a suspicion, right? And that could raise a alarm or flag to the people sitting in the command and control center. So things like intrusion detection, or things like facial recognition, these all use cases can be implemented in defense sector, which can help to save some lives. This is one. Maybe with the use of drones, you can take some videos of the land area or the perimeter area, and those videos can be used to do this backend analytics on if this is normal or not, or with the heat map, if there are people sitting or not. So instead of people or humans sitting and identifying such issues, the computer can do it at fraction of second. So this one could be one of the possible use case. So I told about surveillance, I told about the heat map of the people, and if somebody is hiding in some of the bunkers. Then again, maybe with the use of IoT technology, you can, based on the vibration sensor, or based on with the maybe with lidar again, you can check if there is some explosive around or not. So these are the use cases, and specifically can be more used when you are part of some remote team where there is no proper network connectivity or proper technology. So this all use case can be used there in remote parts of the part of the team of the defense sector. Also maybe with the use of IoT, you can do predictive maintenance of your aircrafts. You can place in the sensors, and it will generate and gather all the health data from the aircrafts, and you will know when to do the maintenance of such kind of flights, or any of the large equipments that they have. So these were few of the use cases.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question from Sarika Gautam, that what are the key factors when it comes to driving successful AI transformation for an
Okay.
organization?
Okay. So for any enterprise organization or government organization, the first should be, I was talking about this, the ROI, right? The kind of investment that you are doing. I mean, you can't build just because it's AI or ML, just can't build something which is not giving you that much of value. So the kind of ROI you get from that investment, then what is the latency or the technical parameters like frames per second or latency that you are getting from the system. So if the latency is too much, no point in implementing a AI system there. But yes, if the latency is less, you can go ahead and deploy an AI system. Then next would be like how it is helping the organization. Like, is it reducing your manpower cost, or is it reducing your time time to accelerate these decisions? So these two parameters also help. Then the kind of performance that you're getting, that the SLA that you're getting, or the accuracy that you're getting. You build a system and it's not very accurate, no point in deploying it. So accuracy also matters. So these are like three four key like technologies or key factors that helps in making a decision where you should go for that AI model or not in an organization.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any more questions from the audience?
So you can ask something like apart from technical questions, anything you want to know about your field of interest, your career, or what next, how next. Those questions also you can ask.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question regarding the AI and ML engineer. Basically, my question is freshers somehow find it difficult to enter in the industry as AI or ML engineer. So, why is it so? Means, what is the reason actually?
So you are saying that people find it difficult to enter,
Freshers,
freshers find it difficult to enter AI ML industry.
yes, ma'am.
I don't think so. I mean, see, like when we graduated 2016, the kind of AI ML jobs were pretty less. But now I think I was saying right, this COVID has accelerated all of it, and every organization is trying to move towards this digital transformation. And there are a lot of applications being built for government sector by the enterprise or the IT companies. So there are a lot of jobs. There are a lot of jobs in AI ML, and people say right that AI ML could dissipate the very traditional working way. So jobs are there. It could be like the skill sets that an individual has might not be matching with what they are looking, but I just see an increase in AI ML jobs or Python C++ kind of jobs in the industry in coming future. I don't see a decrease. There would be an increase. I mean, from the traditional web development and all those kind of jobs, there would be more of AI ML jobs coming in coming future. So, yeah, to answer that, I don't think there is a shortage of jobs. Most of the jobs that the companies have, it's somewhere involves either doing in even in programming it involves some sort of AI analytics, maybe data analytics using R, Tableau, and all that. It involves some sort of analytics because every company wants to make a decision out of the data that they get, and the jobs are very plentiful outside in market.
Yes, ma'am. First, they assign for data analyst type, and then they further promote them to ML
Yes,
or data
yes.
science.
So, like a person will grow in an organization, right? So that's when the technologies or the kind of responsibility it will also grow for that particular individual. At first point or in the beginning, one will not be expecting a fresher to do a very high tech coding in AI ML or build a very robust system. But yeah, definitely once you grow in that organization ladder, you would be getting lot of opportunities or more technical opportunities with regards to this kind of technology.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions from audience side?
Yes, Siddharth. Good afternoon, Dee. Dee, my question is regarding like getting into any company which has the high tech demand, that is like Intel, Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. When we apply for those company, what happens is we apply numerous times. We like apply for with the help of our CV, but our CV don't get selected for those companies. And now you are currently working in that field. So, what are your guidance to the student regarding that? Like, how can one can prepare a CV so that they can get selected for these type of companies?
Okay. So, okay. So, see, these companies they get plethora of job applications, right? And yeah, I know it's a bit challenging looking at the number of people that graduate every year, right? It's pretty challenging to get our CV shortlisted. So for that, maybe you should start. start building your CV from your second year, I guess, by doing lot more projects in your college days. Should do good projects wherever you are interested, and maybe by the end of second year you should be sure on whether you want to go for a job or you want to go for a academia like research to masters, and build your CV in that way. So let's say for instances where you want to do job in Intel or Amazon or Google, Microsoft, etc. To get your CV shortlisted, you should be doing a good number of projects in that domain, whatever you like or whatever field of study that you have, and then try to do some certifications, some industry certifications. And there are a lot of certifications on this Coursera, edX, and all that. So try to do one or two certifications as well. Try to keep a good pointer, the CGPA, that also matters. Then yeah, so these would be, yeah, internships as well. So try to get both kind of experience. Get one this college internship, the from the IITs probably, and try to get one industrial internship as well from any of the industries, be it startup or something. If all that is put in your CV, I don't think they would be, rejecting your CV further. So these are the key things, like projects that matters, your internship and your CGPA. Try to make it in a very structured way, and it should not be vague, as in you are doing something as a part of your internship, and then projects that you choose are something very different. So don't try to keep it vague. And if you want to get into semiconductor industry, like, you should know that number of jobs there are pretty less compared to what is there in IT, or maybe what is there in product based jobs. So don't get bogged down even if you are rejected in the first place from all these big MNCs. It's okay to join a startup. You get to learn a lot, and after few years of learning in startup, you can always switch to such big companies. So if you see all your seniors from graduating class of 2016, 15, 14, all are working in very good MNCs, big brands, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they were working there since they joined, or they were working in big brands before as well. So few of them were working in startups and then they moved to a big brand. So don't get bogged down if your CV is not selected. Life is like, you will get ample of opportunities. I was part of L&T in the beginning, and then I moved to Intel. So yeah, you can get opportunities anytime on your way, and just keep trying for it. And for a starting point, make your CV look good, make it more structured, and take help from your seniors to prepare your CV. And of course, do a lot many projects. Try to get involved in extracurricular activities of colleges. Try to be involved in this fest or maybe sports, and then of course keep your CGPA good. That all will help you to get into a good company.
Thank you, Dee.
Do we have any more questions?
वन क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम माय साइड। जैसे अगर मैंने सोच लिया कि मुझे रिसर्च डोमेन में ही जाना है, जैसे एक तरह से पिछले क्वेश्चन का फॉलो अप ही है, तो अब मैंने जैसे सेकेंड ईयर के बाद अगर डिटरमाइन कर लिया कि मुझे रिसर्च डोमेन में जाना है और स्पेस रिसर्च में जाना है, तो आप इसके लिए एक पाथवे बता सकते हैं? मतलब क्योंकि मेरा ब्रांच इसी है और उसी के थ्रू मुझे कुछ स्पेस रिसर्च में करना है,
तो
तो जैसे अब
आपको इंडिया से करना है या आउटसाइड इंडिया से करना है स्पेस रिसर्च?
मैम आप इसके दोनों के बता दीजिए एक्चुअली,
अच्छा,
कौन सा हो सकता है।
ओके, सो आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर इंडिया में स्पेस रिसर्च के कितने अच्छे कॉलेज है फॉर मास्टर्स. आई नो देर आर सम फॉर बैचलर्स. मास्टर्स के लिए आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर कितने अच्छे कॉलेजेस हैं. बट येस, इफ यू रियली वांट टू डू स्पेस रिसर्च, फर्स्ट थिंग, ट्राई टू गेट एन इंटर्नशिप इन अ स्पेस रिसर्च कॉलेज. आई थिंक वो त्रिवेंद्रम में एक है, शायद से कोई कॉलेज है. आई रियली फॉरगॉट द नेम. उसमें आप ट्राई टू गेट सम इंटर्नशिप, और मे बी समवेयर इन DRD और CDAC रिलेटेड टू स्पेस रिसर्च. तो पहले आप वो इंटर्नशिप करो. फिर उसके बाद जो प्रोजेक्ट्स आप चूज़ करते हो अपने कॉलेज में, बीइंग फ्रॉम ईसी बैकग्राउंड, you can take up some communication projects, probably एंटीना में कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स ले सकते हो, या फिर स्पेस रिसर्च के फील्ड में जो भी आपको एक टॉपिक सही लगता है उसमें एक प्रोजेक्ट ले सकते हो। तो वो एक प्रोजेक्ट ले लेना और फिर उसके बाद वर्क ऑन दैट फ्रॉम योर college. And then yeah, so after you do all these two things, then maybe you can apply for some foreign internship in your third year, like Germany or Canada, somewhere where you can do more on your space research. And then I would always prefer if you can go outside India to do your masters, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी स्कोप होता है, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा लर्निंग होता है, good laboratories and all that. So it'll be very easier for you to get a master's outside India with this kind of resume or with this kind of experience, or maybe you can get a scholarship as well. So you can try for this kind of path for your space research, whatever it is. Maybe I believe you're in first year, so second year say you can look for an internship in an Indian college जहाँ पे space research के field में करवा रहे हो, and then third year go for abroad, and then fourth year maybe you can get into the same college abroad में जहाँ पे आप internship कर रहे हो, otherwise try for something new, and take up good projects in your college with good mentors from your faculty.
यस मैम, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड डीआरडीओ में क्या क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हो सकती हैं ईसी के थ्रू?
DRDO, I think they build lot of this robots and all. तो DRDO में तो बहुत सारे opportunities है. I mean DRDO is very vast. They can be working on some sort of perimeter security. They can give you something on the building an AI model, something on coding. They can also give you something on embedded systems. So वहाँ पे like scope of work काफ़ी है DRDO में. If you can get into the right, don't go for the right brand, go for the right field of your study. I mean choose the right projects instead of choosing the organization. Let's say in a college you're getting something on space research or something, so go for that instead of doing something in DRDO या फिर कोई CDAC जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जिसमें आपको वो फील्ड ऑफ इंटरेस्ट वाला प्रोजेक्ट नहीं मिल रहा है. सो आई वुड ऑलवेज रिकमेंड गो फॉर योर फील्ड ऑफ इंटरेस्ट rather than the brand name. एज ऑफ नाउ अभी तो आप वही देखो, उसी पे फोकस करो, और DRDO में बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज होते हैं अक्रॉस वेरियस फील्ड. सो पिक वन ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट एंड देन शूट अ मेल टू देम ऑन दैट कि आपको इंटर्नशिप करना है या फिर आपका ये सब रेज्यूम है, एंड यू कैन टेक इट फॉरवर्ड आफ्टर दैट.
यस मैम, थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving such a wonderful presentation and answering to all the queries. If anyone have any further questions, they can reach to Anuvrat through the mail ID or to ma'am directly through our LinkedIn. Also, now, ma'am, I would like to request you to mail this PPT to the email ID of Anuvrat so that we can share it with the participants.
Sure, I will do that. I think I have already done it. I will do it again.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. So, on behalf of Anuvrat, I would like to sincerely thank our today's speaker, Ms. Ruchika Prasad, for providing us with her gracious presence to enhance our knowledge. And I would also like to express my sincere gratitude towards the audience for joining us. We will be back with another episode very soon. Thank you once again. Have a good day, everyone. So,
Thank you everyone. Good day. Bye.
Bye, Dee.
थैंक यू मैम।
Harishankar, please stop the recording if it's done.